So, welcome everyone. Haven't done one of these in a while. I don't even remember when our last community call was. I think it was in May. A lot of things have happened since then for us. Maybe a little less for you. Things have been gearing up recently, by the way. So, I hope. I've seen more of you come out of the woodwork. I wouldn't say woodwork. It makes you sound like bugs, but you've been appearing a little more recently from the summer holidays. I know we were off. So it's glad to see a lot of familiar names in the audience. Paddy is probably not going to be here for this call. He might be here, but in that case, he will be late. So we can keep our fingers crossed, I guess.
He wants to be. He's traveling and he's running. He's caught up.
Absolutely, he wants to be. So yeah. Due to that, we removed a point from the agenda, which was the Minimask demo that he wanted to do. So don't worry, he'll do that at some dev call next week or the week after. I'm not sure. We'll see about that, or maybe later. Anyways, in the meantime, I've said everything. Hugo, do you want to give an intro, or do you just want to get right into the call?
No, I'll kick off. I'll give an intro and then we'll get into the call. So firstly, hello everybody, welcome. Thank you all for joining. I see lots of familiar faces, but lots of new faces as well. So I really appreciate that. For those of you've seen a lot of these before, you'll see that my background is not my normal dark green nowhere background. It's because I'm actually in London at the moment, and I've just been at Zebu Live. I was on stage on Tuesday for the opening of that. Very good reception we had, and that was really interesting. I mean, I think when you go to crypto events regularly, you get a sense of how the landscape is changing by who is there, what's being discussed, who's sponsoring it, who's disappeared, and all of that kind of stuff, I think. And I think that it was notable that this year there was no neon, there was no memes, there were no NFTs in sight anywhere, pretty much. And it was all about infrastructure, regulation, AI, and stable coins. And I think that it shows in many ways that I guess the market is and the industry is still continuing to mature and to grow up, and there are sort of bigger institutional players coming in to have chats about how blockchain can sort of help transform what they're doing. Which again, I think is all music to our ears, really. I mean, as many of you know, we've been building for a long time. It's a slow process, but as I say, building a stone house on granite rather than a straw house on sand. Hence why we're still here, and many other projects have disappeared along the wayside. So, and the conversations we're having are getting more and more interesting. I think that we are absolutely, I've got more and more sort of convinced of it yesterday in conversations. We're uniquely positioned as a layer one with a USP in terms of the form factor that we have. So as form factors shrink, as with every sort of technological advance, being able to get into the hardware and the chip level is going to be a fundamental point of difference for us. And we'll really set ourselves up against the myriad of other L1s that are competing against the likes of Bitcoin and Ethereum, because we have a unique position there. Also, I think the talk that I was on was about DeFi, as in DeFi as in AI agents, as agents for trading, specifically for retail traders, but also for institutional traders, and sort of the way that it's going to completely transform how markets are approached, and the fact that it'll no longer be manual trades, it'll all be automated prompts into AI agents operating instantly rather than over time, and all that kind of stuff. It'll have lots of different knock-on effects. It'll sort of democratize sort of the knowledge gap between retail investors and sort of institutional research desks. But also it will remove sort of inefficiencies within the market. So again, when something gets spotted, I took the example when I was talking about, if you take GameStop and the short squeeze as an example, that took place over a few months of sort of social interaction, social cohesion to actually make that move. Because people could see there was an opportunity for a short squeeze. Whereas now, if you replayed that in today's world and tomorrow's world with AI agents, that kind of opportunity would literally take place instantaneously. So all the agents would see an opportunity, they'd all go at it, and then effectively it'd be like a flash squeeze and then a crash back down again. It wouldn't take sort of a few months to do that. And so all of these things are going to get sort of compressed down in a huge way. And again, where does Minima fit into that? The guy who I was sitting next door to runs a company that builds AI agents for institutional players. And when you're dealing with that kind of capital inflow, you need to be able to trust what the AI is doing. And actually, we'll be continuing a conversation that we started there to actually be able to have a way of keeping AI agents honest in terms of having immutable records of the decision trees that we used and the actions that were taken, so that institutional players and retail investors alike can have confidence in the actions and the decisions that the AI agents are taking. So, there's lots of areas that I think are very interesting there. And obviously, payment rails for AI agents is a perfect position for us as well. And our sort of, our community project around Vita being an AI agent with direct access to a wallet via the command line, again, is something that is getting a lot of interest from different industry players as well. So, so definitely a move. Although there are, the sort of the flashy memes and NFTs weren't there. There was still a lot of buzz around the event, and I think again feel very confident that we are still in a really good place for that. So yeah, on that note, I will pass over to you, Luke, for a quick summary and update from the community side, and then we'll get into some more of the details. And then I've seen lots of good questions, so I'll get into those as well. So yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, there. There you go. Hello, everyone. Luke here, joining you from a very grey and miserable and wet UK today. As a Brit, I feel I have to tell you all about the weather. So yeah, I just want to take a few minutes to run through what's been happening recently from a marketing and community perspective. It's been a packed few weeks for the team, and it really feels like we've kind of hit that point where all the foundational work that we've been doing over the last few months is starting to come together and be able to bring it out into the open. So first up, we officially launched Edge Pioneers at Token 2049 in Singapore. That's our new accelerator program designed to take mini dApps from idea to launch, and applications for that are open right now at build.minima.global. So if you know any builders, make sure they take a look and get involved. There's the opportunity for up to $50,000 in grants there for successful applicants coming out the other side. Next, we took Minima to UCL in London, where the team delivered talks on decentralization along with policymakers, an important part of helping shape the regulatory and academic understanding of what true decentralization actually means. And that was very well attended. We had excellent feedback from both the speakers and the students. And we should hopefully have some video of those talks, which will be coming out in the following weeks. Then, of course, as Hugo mentioned, we had Zebu Live this week, which was also in London, where Hugo and some of us in the team were out in force. We met with dozens of projects, investors, founders, and Hugo gave a great talk about the importance of keeping AI agents honest, using tools, I should say, like Integritas to ensure trust and transparency in this new era of autonomous systems. On the community side, we recently polled everyone on the direction we should take with our DEX development, whether we go fully decentralized or take a more user-friendly app-based approach. The results were really close. 44% voted for full decentralization, and 56% went for a more UX-focused option. That balance actually tells us a lot and is exactly the kind of feedback that we were wanting to help guide our roadmap. So thank you to everyone that took the time to respond to that. We also saw the first... tripping over my own tongue. We also saw the first release of Omnia, using the ThunderPay demo mini DApp to demonstrate real payments being sent across the L2. Partner institutions have already been running small-scale transactions, and we'll be capturing the first sort of proper large-scale ones soon, and we'll be getting you involved in that. Another major milestone then is our partnership with Fetch AI, which went live, and it wasn't just an announcement. We actually were already fully integrated there with launching Integritas as an agent on their platform, and that's available right now. It's a perfect example of Minima tech in action, and we'll be doing more with Fetch in terms of cross-marketing with their team in the coming weeks to expand our reach into their reach further. Looking ahead, we've got some big announcements coming, especially around the chip. It's been a bit of a mission, actually, getting all the various PR departments involved aligned across all our partners, but we've kind of got that to where we need to be now, so you can expect something early next week, so keep an eye out for that. And then looking beyond that, there are several other projects maturing very nicely, actually, behind the scenes, and we'll be marketing those before the end of the year, all in line with what we outlined earlier in the year in our roadmap. I'll let the rest of the team kind of share more on those, but the key message I would say is this, that momentum is strong and it's only getting stronger. So thanks to everybody in the community. Your feedback, engagement and support really are what kind of drives this all forward. So yeah, thanks very much. That's everything from me. Cheers.
I cover it.
Thank you, Luke. I'm just going to take over real quick. So I just wanted to say, sorry, Hugo, you said we were going to move to questions pretty quickly, but we did forget to mention
lots to cover from all that. Yeah, don't worry. We'll cover all that stuff first, and then we'll get to questions.
Okay,
but no. So yeah, so getting into a bit more detail from what Luke was talking about, and again, I think I know that there's a lot of sort of understandable debate in the community about keeping to timelines and everything like that, and we are very conscious of that. We do work very hard to try and be as realistic as we can, but I think that I'm confident to say that the timeline and the deliverables that we have outlined in Q4 are well within reach, and we're making really good progress with that. So a couple of quick updates. So the stablecoin is making good progress. This is going to be a bridge to USDT, and it will be collateralized by USDT reserves. And we are finalizing the tech as we speak. And so that we'll have, that'll be out for testing in the next month or so. And then, we should have that ready to go within Q4, if not right at the beginning of Q1 next year. But that is ready to go. And that should be, and then also at the same time, what we're doing is we're also finalizing the jurisdiction for launching that as well. But again, we know what we're going to do and where we're going to do it. So once that's all finalized, then we'll be able to announce that to the community as well. So that's all making really good progress. Obviously, the stablecoin is going to be important for lots of reasons, not least for the DEX that we've got coming up, but also for our enterprise clients as well. And it'll also be obviously our first stablecoin on Omnia and ThunderPay mini DApp as well. So that'll be the first way that that we'll be able to have a stable coin on the L2 network, and I'll come on to a bit more detail on that in a second as well. So that's all we're making very good progress on that. Regarding the DEX, again, that is now being built out as well. Paddy is seeing a demo of that next week, so we're building that through. And again, we've obviously, as we started to build that through, we, as Luke mentioned, we polled the community to find out which way you wanted to go. I mean, interestingly, it was a pretty close call between sort of full decentralization and more central, user-friendly, more centralized aspect. What we're going to be doing is effectively doing both in a way. So effectively, we're going to be using Minima as a plugin to have it on the website presence, but then also it'll be non-custodial. But it'll be a combination of running a node. You can either run a node or you can use a web wallet as well, basically. So it'll be a matching engine with an order book. And the makers will need to run a node, but takers, buyers and sellers can be effectively, don't need to be online the whole time, and they can then effectively run that through a web wallet. So again, I think picking a good combination of decentralization plus user-friendly UX will be a really good way to sort of combine the best of both those things. So accessibility, but also elements of the decentralized benefits there too. So that will be something that we will be, say it's in build at the moment, and we hope to be able to sort of give you updates regularly over the coming months on that one, basically. So I think, is that my piece now, Luke? Neo, we're now going on to, I think we've got Adam now to do a couple of things, and I'll come back and finish up on ThunderPay. I cover it.
Yep. Okay. Hello, everyone. Adam here. And first of all, a bit more detail about Minima on chip. We mentioned this a few years at the beginning of the year that we were starting our partnership with chip manufacturers and chip designers, and that now has taken fruition. We kicked off last week the project. It's going to be a 3-month project, and the end of it we'll actually have a demonstrator of a hardware module running Minima at silicon level. We're going to have a very large media release, and that is under embargo until early next week. So without giving away the names, I think you know who we are talking about, but I can tell you that we're working with a very top UK university specialized in system on chip design. And we have our industrial partners that are absolutely motivated to showing that we can have chips and hardware supported by the EU Chip Act, amongst things, where we can secure data for a whole range of applications. Our first demonstration will be for an application in drones. So we're going to work with drone manufacturers, drone providers, for use cases where the end-to-end logistics of delivery is recorded on the blockchain. The cargoes are of high value, and the blockchain serves two purposes. One is to keep track of the passage of the transport from end to end. It also is an ability to monitor the flight of the drone through important flight paths to make sure that they're sticking within the flight paths. And of course, it can also handle autonomous messaging and autonomous payments. So there's a lot that is going on in the background. You'll see the press releases come out early next week. The benefit for us, of course, is it means that Minima can be running at chip level, bringing huge increase in efficiency and speed. So a lot of the functionality of Minima, including the messaging and particularly the SHA-3 cryptographic hashing, can be done at hardware level. And we are, incredibly proud of the fact that we've got this far, and that we will demonstrate blockchain on chip. So we believe that we are unassailable. We don't believe another blockchain can compete with this because, of course, it outsources its miners and its validators. In this situation, we've actually got the full node capacity running at hardware level. So this also, of course, is building on a lot of the journey that we've done with several of the developers in the audience, where we started with cars, we went into hardware, we went on devices, and now we are very keen to take it to the next level. Paddy is heavily involved in the project. He's very, very happy with the engineers that we've got building. We've got a very diverse team. all from system on chip designers, coders, and people who've also had experience of designing chips for drone companies. So this is a great milestone. And the project will also enable Minima JavaScript to be translated into C++ and C, which means that it has larger implications for machine coding of the blockchain. So that is obviously one of our great milestones, and we're very pleased to have started this project. So more to come. I was away a couple of weeks ago in Singapore and attended Token 2049. And I would say my sentiment was similar to Hugo's in terms of the conferences have sort of matured now. People are not talking crypto, they're talking blockchain, AI, they're talking what are you going to do with it. So one of the primary reasons for me attending was to announce the partnership with OX Labs or 0x Labs, in combination with this community developer program, Edge Pioneers, that we've just launched. And OX Labs are is an institution that is providing us with pipeline of developers. They have an extremely good network of early stage projects and builders and developers, and they are giving us every week a dozen developer heads up, and we're approaching them continuously, and they have also given us a pipeline of developers interested in joining Edge Pioneers. So again, this is a very important thing for us. As we keep saying, we encourage builders to come and start to build on Minima. So everything that can be done to encourage them is what we're working on, including code snippets and support where good ideas can actually get the attention and support of our developers. We have also been employing interns who are now becoming developers. So we have a growing a team of developers in Minima, and they will support our external projects. So that's very, very positive. And one more issue from me is the integration of the Integritas agent with Fetch's Agentverse. So as Luke mentioned, we have been collaborating with Fetch, and Fetch have generated this Agentverse, which they call ASI1, and it is a library of thousands of agents. And their platform allows you to ask for help and identify agents that can solve particular tasks. And we have, in a quick fashion, managed to get our Integritas agent as a chatbot to interact directly with all or any of the agents on their Agentverse. But Fetch are particularly interested in working with us because they, as Hugo alluded, are very keen to secure the integrity of data that's generated between agents. So as we are moving more and more to everything agentic, there is going to be the need and requirement to keep an audit trail and keep the checks and balances of output from agents. And Integritas fits perfectly into that world where the agents can log interactions, and you can produce an audit trail in the form of a hash, which then can be checked and validated later. So that is the first of our integration to Fetch AI, and we have integrated into many other commercial chat LLMs. And over the next 3 weeks, we will be announcing integration with very well-known and very large chat LLMs. So all of this is just proof that the industrial partnerships that we have had forces and moves the needle in terms of building the tech to meet the demand. So it's been, very rewarding to see that these partnerships have generated tech that is now available as commercial products. So very happy to report on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Hugo, onwards to the Thunder update, I believe.
Yeah, so Thunder, absolutely. So you hear me. So yeah, Thunder is the payment mini app on Omnia. Just to give everyone, if they sort of are still wondering what Omnia is our layer 2 scaling solution. So it's a upgrade to the Bitcoin's Lightning network. It's the L2 implementation, and there are a number of benefits for Omnia over the current Lightning network. I mean, at the moment, up until now, for a long time, you've only been able to transfer Bitcoin across the Lightning network, but they've just brought in something called taproot assets, which means that you can convert a token into Bitcoin that then gets transferred across the network, but then gets transferred the other end to the token again. So you can effectively use Bitcoin on the Lightning network to transfer other tokens across it. However, the L2 network enables native tokens to be supported. So that means that you don't need to change the tokens either end. You can actually send a Minima token as a stable coin directly straight from one side to the other, basically. This is a lot more efficient and a lot easier to deliver, and so it's something that we believe will actually be very interesting to organizations that are starting to look at the Lightning network for off-chain transactions, and notably Tether is one of the major companies that is starting to look at Bitcoin Lightning network for their to actually scale the number of transactions that they can do. And effectively, Minima is the first ever implementation of the upgraded version of the Lightning network, called the L2 implementation. And we now have this up and running peer-to-peer. We did an initial demo of it a few weeks ago, and we're now working, as Luke said, with a couple of institutional partners. One is an EMI in the UK, and one is a stablecoin issuer in Africa. And we did our first small transaction this week, and our plan is to expand that out so we have actually a much bigger transaction that we can then record, film, and create some content around to show to you all and to show to the general public. And I think that could be something very interesting. It's going to be, these institutions have been working hard with us to make this work because they are genuinely interested in using it for their businesses. And this is cross-border transactions, huge transactions that are, very, very cheap. I mean, in fact, it literally just costs to open a channel is an on-chain transaction. To close a channel, there's an on-chain transaction. But after that, everything is a free transfer cross-border. It takes a matter of seconds. So very, very exciting. And so we will have more to share on that very soon. I think that, I think you've seen a video potentially from Paddy that was published a few days ago. It actually had an amazing traction, over sort of 30,000 organic views already. And that is not paid for. Literally, that was organic. So people sharing between themselves, which gives a very good explanation in layman's terms about his vision for that. So if you haven't already watched it, I urge you to go to our YouTube channel and look at that, because it really is very good. Or if you have watched it, then send it to your friends who don't understand what Minima is about, and hopefully I think that will really help bring them to the understanding of that as well. We've been using it with our investors and it's gone down very well. So we will be demoing, we're having a video demo of that transaction between those two institutions, and obviously both institutions will be supporting that with further sort of awareness driving and coverage as well. So look out for that next week. So there we go.
Thank you, Hugo. So we're going to go onwards to the questions. Before we do, I wanted to give a quick update on my side. Obviously Luke gave an update on the community, but I did want to apologize for the amount of dev calls that have been cancelled and the lack of community calls. There are reasons for all of these things, but I just did want to apologize. And secondly, I also wanted to cover the launch of the Edge Pioneers network. So this probably did go unnoticed, but alongside the Edge Pioneers launch, we also retrieved the build website. So there were complications initially, which is why we hadn't gotten it back up. But then we found a solution to those complications, which is why the build website hasn't changed and your ideas are still there. I just wanted to mention this, specify that for those of you who had accounts on the build website, your accounts should still work. You can still log in. You can still access whatever you posted or if you had anything drafted. So that's all I wanted to say. Now, for the questions, obviously, while we go over these questions, if any of you have more questions you'd like to submit, please do so, and we'll try to fit them in the call. Seeing as Patty's not here, that shouldn't be too difficult. But anyways, let's get started. So the first question is about the chip prototype. I think this is going to be one for you, Hugo. If the chip prototype is successful, will the funds for mass production be in place, and will you take the necessary measures to market it and boost visibility?
Yes, I mean, so absolutely. I mean, basically, as always, it's sort of, I mean, it's not even chicken and egg. We need the prototype to start the conversations. I mean, as I say, as the interesting thing is that, and again, something that we've seen a lot with both Adam and I seen in the meetings that we've had at events over the last month or so is that investors are now looking at actual real world use cases. They're just not looking at sort of Ponzinomics or anything like that. They are literally looking at how is revenue going to be generated and where is that going to come from. So as we move to the chip prototype, then we move into a whole new era of the conversations that we can have with providers of capital. And so actually we move from purely not just pure play crypto investors and VCs, but also into more traditional institutional investors that are looking to invest in businesses that are building out infrastructure, and that will not just be for the crypto world, but actually the real world out there as well. And so we need the prototype, and we'll be doing the demo early next year of that to an audience that will be brought together by our enterprise partners. So they will bring their customers to that, and so that then starts that process where actually we have something actually to demonstrate and to show a sort of real world demonstration of it. And at that point, we can then start the conversations to raise capital based on those revenue projections from the IP and the usage of that chip. And what that means is that we've already started those conversations with a number of institutional investors who specialize in semiconductors and infrastructure. So yes, so the plan is effectively we need the prototype in order to be able to go to the investors, but we're already prepping those conversations already because obviously these things can take time. And so we want to be in the best possible place for that. So obviously we're doing all the work on the development side, but we're also doing all the work in terms of the investment conversations as well. And so those two things come across. And then obviously once we have that capital, then that will be used for three things. It'll be used to get us into production. It'll be used to start signing up customers. And of course, obviously marketing and awareness around that. And actually expanding it out beyond pure retail investors, but also to customers as well. So that's the sort of the plan for that. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. The next question is actually, I read it, but I didn't click up until now. Since Patty's not here, I'm not sure if we know the answer. I'll just read it aloud. Hugo, will you use the likes of Wallet Connect or other wallet aggregators for the DEX with the web-based DEX?
Yeah, so at this stage, effectively, there'll be two ways to connect to the DEX, either via running a node or via the web wallet, and obviously that integration will also come via Minimask. But the only sort of wallet applications will be the Minima ones, either a node or web wallet. Obviously, once we have Minimask and all versions of that, up and running, then we can look to do further integrations with other wallet aggregators. But again, that would also require them to be able to hold Minima as well. So that is, that would be a further down the line. So initially, we're doing it via our own wallets and both either web or node wallets, basically.
Okay, thank you. On to the next. With the upcoming launch of MUSD, which I'm not sure if that's the official name, but we'll go with that for now. Does Minima have plans for maximizing the utilization of stablecoins, such as through corporate partnerships and Web3 collaboration? Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I can do it if you want. I mean, I'll start, and if you want to add anything, Adam. So, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, we don't know the name of it yet. MUSD is MetaMask's stablecoin. So, I think we'll probably come up with a different ticker for that. But again, so that's something else. But I mean, obviously, having a stable coin will open up to a whole load of different conversations, both within, as you say, corporate partnerships and Web3 collaborations. I mean, obviously, I think, we will obviously want to be, concentrating on our USP, and that's our form factor of being a full node at the edge, because that is where we can be different. There's a lot of competition out there with multitude stable coins all operating in a similar way. We have the ability to actually be able to have a stable coin running at the edge on devices, and so that's where we'll be concentrating it.
Okay. Well, I think you covered that question. Are there active discussions or timelines for listings on tier 1 centralized exchanges beyond current availability?
Yes and no. And yes, there are active discussions. No timelines we haven't been given yet. I mean, as sort of we've talked about in the past, these conversations they're ever changing. The exchanges change their sort of onboarding criteria as the wind blows. But as I say, we have got active conversations with top tier exchanges. They're looking at various things like fundamentals, which is really good for us. Obviously, trading volume and activity on the exchanges is another, which I'll come on to. I think there's another question about that as well. But also, they're looking at sort of news and partnerships as well to show real traction, because they're looking. I mean, obviously, we can't compete on this sort of pre-TGE hype level that a lot of projects operate on, and which exchanges prefer, because obviously they can make a quick buck in the hype period. Obviously, as a post TGE project that has been established for a while, obviously our hype point comes when we make technical breakthroughs with partnerships, and that's what we're going to be starting to do next week with our announcement with our enterprise partners and our university to actually get the development of Minima on chip, because that's where we stand apart. So those are the conversations that we're having, and we'll continue to have those.
Okay, thank you, Hugo. I mean, on my side, sorry, just to say, but I've noticed on crypto Twitter that centralized exchanges have been under a lot of fire recently. And besides the DEXs, it seems to be a better priority for us, seeing as the community agrees. So I just wanted to give my piece, I guess. Next question is, why would any business that typically aims to reduce costs opt for a technology with costs, such as publicly traded Minima tokens per transaction? Surely an in-house private blockchain would be preferable.
Cool.
I think that's another one for you.
It is, and I'm sure Adam will have something to say about this as well. But I'll kick off on that one. I mean, it's a very interesting question. That I mean, I think that the first thing is the point about why wouldn't you just use an in-house private blockchain? I mean, I think the first thing to say about that is if an organization is considering an in-house private blockchain, then they really should just use a centralized internal database, because that's 1,000 times faster and 1,000 times cheaper. There's really no reason to do that. The only reason to use a blockchain is if you want a truly immutable record of transactions and payment rails. And if you're looking for that, I think Minima is an obvious choice as a blockchain for that, because, and say, it depends what you want to do. I mean, if you're doing, if it's for trading and stuff like that, then you're not going to be there. But if you're an organization that has lots of edge devices and you want to have an immutable a value transfer layer between your devices that is resilient and, is not going to get attacked through any forms of centralization, then Minima is a really good one. Regarding costs, on a number of levels, the specific thing about Minima is because every device is effectively a miner on the network. So you're going to effectively doing the construction and the validation of the chain at the edge. All of the costs of infrastructure for centralized entities and organizations get moved to the edge and get to move to the devices that already exist. So you don't have an organization that has to run any centralized infrastructure for that. And the other point as well, compared to all other blockchains, is that the fees that you pay miners and stakers on other blockchains could put up the price for transactions across the network. When other blockchains get busy, then their fees go up. So whereas with us, that we know very, 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 very low fees. I mean, there's only fees on chain when the blocks are full. And then that's just to prioritize your transaction. And if you're going off chain and you're on the Omnia network, so our L2 network, all you need is an on-chain transaction to start a channel. And then you can have as many transactions between two parties as you want, and then costlessly. And then obviously when you close the channel, you do one on-chain transaction. So actually the costs are minimal on every level, both on an infrastructure level and on a price level. So, it's never a challenge. If you're talking to an organization that truly wants decentralization, if you're talking to an organization that actually could just use a SQL database, then we do generally say to them, go and use a SQL database, because you actually don't need the level of decentralization and resilience that we can offer you. And there's lots of benefits to a SQL database, but if you're looking for the benefits of a decentralized network, then that's where we come in, basically.
Okay, great. Thank you, Hugo. Starting to talk more and more like Paddy. That sounds good. Beyond next and last question on the list that I have. Beyond exchange listings, what mechanisms are being prioritized to prevent shallow order books and ensure robust trading volume?
So we're very conscious of this, and this is something that we are looking to address. We're doing a couple of things. We added a new market maker to the mix last week, and we are we're reviewing that on a daily basis, and we are looking at how they're doing. We think they're doing a good job of improving things, but we will be looking at that sort of actively over the next coming weeks. Obviously, we'll be doing all of the things around driving awareness and excitement around Minima and its partnerships and the progress that we're making in those areas. So that's another area, and then obviously. We have in place our Minima success framework, which is looking to drive token holder value as we roll out our first revenue generating product, which is Integritas. It's always a balance of how to sort of keep the business sustainable by bringing revenue in, but also using some of that revenue carefully and tactically to actually bring token holder value. So just to sort of go over that, with Integritas, it's charged on a subscription model and is paid in fiat or stables. But then a proportion of these subscriptions will be used to buy Minima from the open market, and then they will be used for the API calls. So you're creating effectively buy pressure. Any unspent minima at the end of the month will be burned. And this also then reduces the supply, and then also any spent minima for those API calls will be used. Then we put into our maximize fund to fuel the yield on that side of things. So effectively, what you're doing is we're creating a direct link between platform usage and value for Minima token holders. So again, there's never one perfect answer, but we've got lots of different levers that we're pulling and aiming to do that. So we're very conscious of that. We have sort of different team members are focusing on different parts of the business. And we have, one part of the team that is very focused specifically on that as well. So that is a big focus for us as well.
Great, thank you, Hugo. Luke, I assume you haven't encountered any additional questions since the poll started.
There's one question, which is probably more for me than anybody else. It says that many community members are complaining that they feel that our marketing efforts are insufficient. In that they, like I guess they kind of want to see us marketing more to crypto Twitter and things like that. And I think what I'd say to that is there's pure crypto marketing that works really well when you're heading into a TGE, and we did that in spades. But it's similar to what you were saying earlier on, once you go past TGE, then it becomes more about what it is you're selling. It can't just be about the token. It can't be about a white paper and a dream. It's about real, tangible things. And obviously, for us, it's quite. These things are starting to mature now, but they've always been longer-term things. And now it's more about products and how we actually market the products rather than the tokens specifically. And you're starting to see that with Integritas. Of course, that's much more sort of business-to-business marketing as opposed to business-to-consumer. But also with the chip and the partners you're starting to work with, you'll start to see us marketing those more heavily, developing the narratives that sort of support those pieces of work. And we're laying the groundwork for those narratives now. And we actually put out a video a few days ago, I think it's 5 days ago now, which was actually about the digital cash peer-to-peer payments narrative that goes hand in hand with Omnia. And the ThunderPay demo and the product we're looking to bring around that. And that's done really well. In fact, we've had over 22,500 views in 5 days on that particular video. And that's the kind of marketing that you're going to start to see building up. It's trying to get a groundswell around what we're doing. And then that will lead into the development of the marketing specifically for the products, and then marketing hand in hand with the partners that are utilizing things like the chip. Because do keep in mind that Minima itself is not necessarily the product. It's what our partners go on to do with Minima, with the things that we produce. That will be the sort of the customer facing or the business to consumer products. Much like your mobile phone. If you buy your mobile phone, it's full of other companies' technology, but you're buying the Apple or the Siemens, you don't really know, or the Samsung, you don't understand necessarily what's going on inside. And that's kind of where we sit in, but you're going to see a lot more of that sort of video content and supported content coming out in the near future. I don't know if anyone else wants to chip in on that particular question at all.
Just to say that our media agency that is producing the latest videos, they're very keen to have a continuous stream of educational content. So we're going to provide more videos, more schemes and more explainers, so that the individual tech that is the full Minima stack is going to be accessible and hopefully drive awareness.